Eagle 6 in the track.
Roger.
Over 1 bombs away. One's going to climb high above 20. You're south.
Eagle 6 radar contact. Eagle 6 is visual.
And it goes left.
Hello and welcome back to the DCS SITREP. I'm your host Prickly Hedgehog, and last week we celebrated a couple of milestones in the DCS community. Firstly, Eagle Dynamics celebrated 15 years in operation and produced a short video with some highlights of the last decade and a half, with Nick Gray, the CEO, doing a voiceover showcasing some of those things. Some of the early shots were a good reminder of just how far the game has come recently, especially in the last 5 years, with major core engine updates bringing it up to a standard which I think benchmarks most other flight simulations around right now. As Wags reminded us recently, not only does ED need to produce environments which appear authentic, they also need to be destructible, which provides a lot of extra challenges for the developers that other franchises don't have to suffer through. Nick Gray indicated that major changes were coming in 2020-23. However, no specific references were made to what those changes might be, but I suspect we should be seeing further rollouts of multi-threading optimization. This will allow the team to increase game performance while adding additional eye candy for those systems which can handle the tweaks. That's my guess. Stay tuned for more information. Let me know what you think in the comments section below.
Hey, take this. You'll find it very useful out there. And it even tells the time.
Now, to celebrate the milestone of 15 years for DCS World, ED announced its biggest sale yet, with savings of up to 60% on modules across the board. Highlights include the Apache being 50% off right now, and the Tomcat, which is frequently not on sale when other aircraft are, or are often at a much lower discount, that is 40% off right now. So you cannot get a better set of deals right now in DCS World, and I'd encourage you to bundle your goodies in things like the Hornet and maybe the Super Carrier, or picking up maps in campaigns you haven't been able to because of price points. It's too good of a sale to miss out on, so don't let it run you by. It will run until September the 17th in the eStore and to the 15th of September for those of you who run the game on Steam. Now, switching to other news, I had a request for a part 2 for updates on third-party development not covered in a video I did a few weeks ago. I almost split that original video in two because of the amount of detail that it contained, and it ran for almost 40 minutes as it was, which was the very upper end of what I typically like to do when I make videos. So as for a part 2, while the tricky thing is finding reliable information, or more importantly, information worth sharing. A lot of developers have franchises in other games too, such as Flying Iron Simulations, for example, who produce content for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. And Heatblur just announced they were teaming up, or have teamed up, with India Fox Deco to inject a version of their F-14 Tomcat into that franchise. So the takeaway is that DCS content is scarcer as teams work under NDAs and timelines that are not necessarily readily visible. Heatblur, though, do have a public roadmap, along with several other franchises too, or third-party developers at least. And that public roadmap indicates a plethora of things coming to various modules. These range from a new afterburn system for the F-14, visual damage model improvements, and a campaign for the F-14A. Now, there's no word yet, though, on progress on the Eurofighter, which will apparently come sometime after the Phantom II, and we don't know yet whether that aircraft is even going to launch in 2023 or not. I guesstimated a few weeks ago that it indicates, based on the comments that they made, that it would, but again, the proof will be in the pudding. Now, with the plethora of projects out there, including mods, some of which are better than ED's Flaming Cliffs official modules, it's getting harder and harder to keep track of all of this development for a solo guy like me doing a small news channel. at any time, some of these mods can mushroom into official modules for the game, as well as we saw with the C-130, which is eagerly awaited by a growing number of pilots looking for alternative forms of flight in the game. It's actually pretty exciting for the franchise to have this breadth of diversity and the number of players able to support these kinds of aircraft, which I think is entirely why Eagle Dynamics is making the Chinook along with other things. So, speaking of other things not covered in the main newsletter this week, I can tell you that Chuckow has produced a Chuck's Guide for the Gazelle, which received a major overhaul more recently. This is mixed news for many of you, both excited that this little helicopter got much needed updates, but also left you wondering about the long-awaited release of the Kiowa. The Kiowa, wherefore art thou, Kiowa? The news proved the team was still invested in the game, but nothing to satiate our eagerness for the Kiowa, which I'm sure will be given plenty of coverage by the likes of Casmo. Thanks for the support there, Casmo, for acknowledging my 10,000 subscribers. I appreciate it. Casmo, if you're not familiar, actually began his Army flying career with that helicopter. Check out his channel for more information about that and a recent interview he did maybe about a month ago with Ward Carroll about his experiences flying the Kiowa, including the mission in which he was actually shot over Iraq and was seriously injured. I was very lucky it wasn't a career-ending injury, let alone a life-ending one. So it's good to have him back, obviously producing content and giving us information about our beloved helicopters, which, as I said in other videos, is a growing niche within the DCS community, and it's exciting stuff. Now, I'll keep you up to date as much as I can on developments on all of these other projects, including the MiG-17 from Red Star Simulations, which we saw recently being plugged by Enigma and HOP Games. There were some interviews there. This is going to be a big boost for the Enigma service team looking for more alternatives in the Cold War stables. Now, Wags did hint on some of the reasons why we don't have more Red 4 aircraft, and that might be the subject of a different video. It's one that I've been kicking around for a while. People ask this all the time, and it's difficult to kind of answer succinctly because people just expect these things to be available, and of course that's not the case. Now, moving into other third-party information as well, you may have noticed Metal to Mesh producing amazing decals and artwork for the F-15E of late, which has been a popular module. Now, on X or Twitter, whatever the heck you call that thing these days, he has showcased a series of real-life and fictional nose artwork to boost the Strike Eagles representation in-game for fans of squadrons who fly or flew the mighty Mudhen. One thing of note was a reference to a resolution scalability he is working on, which should provide a boost in performance for those running computers which don't do so well with the higher detailed modules like the F-14, for example, as another one. He described it as a new F-15E special option setting to lower or use lower DDS compression quality textures in the cockpit for lower end and lower VRAM GPUs. So by doing this, they are able to reduce the texture size from 2.5 gigabytes to 1.48 gigabytes in size, and the results of this are up to 33% FPS increases. So again, a useful little option. Hopefully that will be beneficial to many of you if you're not running a high-end GPU, which, you know, a lot of us are for DCS World. But I know many of you are still operating on systems that work really well with most other games, but don't work quite so well for flight simulations. I had a little bit of an argument about that a while back. And unfortunately, part of the problem is Eagle Dynamics, as I said before, is still working on improvements to the core engine. And we've discussed this in the past, the multi-threading and those kinds of features which assist high-end or better multi-core threading systems. The optimization there is still a work in progress, so that should give us boost in frame rates and general performance. And earlier this year, we've seen major improvements to that, and I hope those continue to roll out. So, some of you mentioned the F-14 being a bit of a resource hog in this department. Again, features like this are a clever way to benefit those wanting to fly the high-fidelity aircraft, but also, as I said, notice performance reductions while doing so. Metal to Mesh has done an amazing job with this highly popular aircraft, which in my recent survey pipped the F-16 for second spot for the best looking fighter in DCS world. Alright, technically it's not a fighter, but it is capable of self-escort like some other 4th geners and the list of aircraft that were there, so I bent the rules a little bit of artistic license if you want. I'll run some other fun surveys like this in the future. Unfortunately, the photo surveys in YouTube limit the number of options for voting, so I could only include a few aircraft. We will play around with some others so you can interact in the future here. That was a fun little thing. Over 1,000 people voted, which was really cool. Now, while we're on the topic of picking winners and celebrating milestones, this channel, my channel, finally reached 10,000 subscribers. It's been a long time coming, and I'm very excited about the breakthrough, especially given the niche I've been working with for many years. I actually had somebody tell me that it was pretty impressive, just given how tight my themes are, that I've managed to have this many subscribers. I'm not a whiz-bang guy. I like to do analysis more than whiz-bang stuff. So yeah, kind of limits the amount of attention. It's always been my intention to get there and grow the channel beyond that mark, but I didn't want to get there too quickly just because of the commitments I have to a full-time job, which is pretty all-encompassing, and also the numerous other projects that I have. Building the pond this year, for example, was one of those many projects with a house that I consider a little bit of a fixer-upper. So this will remain, for the most part, I think, a DCS news analysis channel primarily, but now that I'm back on a more regular work schedule, if everything goes according to plan there, then you may see some other content creep in more regularly. I have been playing a little Starfield this weekend, thanks to the early access option I purchased, and thanks to the early access option I purchased, and I have to say I've generally been enjoying it a lot. It's possible, therefore, other content may creep into the channel from time to time. I'm also looking forward to at least Homeworld 3, my favorite RTS space game. So there's a lot to get to grips with, as well as DCS. And yeah, I do play other games as well. I just don't always focus on those just because of time. DCS, flying, recording, and learning DCS occupies quite a lot of time. Now, as part of the 10,000 subscribers benchmark, as I promised, I would make a giveaway to a lucky subscriber, a module of their choice. This will only be available to subscribers who are active on this particular video, so make sure you comment in the comment section below, letting me know that you have subscribed, #DCSWorld, and I'll randomly pick someone, and that winner will be announced next week. We'll need to get in touch to make sure that we have your email address. I can reach out to you, or you can reach out to me. So, all right, that will do for this episode. A little bit of a short one. Don't forget to get in and get those fantastic savings, and take advantage of what ED has going on. 15 years, an amazing milestone. So congratulations to the ED team. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the DCS SITREP. See ya!